Discover the scientifically proven solution that gets your baby to sleep like clockwork. It works even if everything else failed. Proven by 17,643 well-rested parents, and counting. Marianne Schuler is a child psychologist and parenting expert with over 20 years of experience. She and her program Baby Sleep Miracle have been featured in publications such as Parenting Magazine, Easy Parenting, Parents, and many more. Her posts on social media reach over 750,000 parents every month, and she speaks on several conferences every year. Hi, my name is Marianne Schuler. And the next few minutes can literally save your sanity and maybe even your child's life. Because not only will I show you a scientifically proven way to have your child enjoy restful sleep, I will also reveal why standard advice, like Ferberizing or co-sleeping, can cause long-lasting damage to your child's nervous system. Damage that makes him more susceptible to anxiety disorders and even panic attacks later in life. Scientifically proven method to get your baby to sleep. The information I'm sharing here with you is entirely based on groundbreaking research done by Harvard Medical School and the Stanford Center for Sleep Science and Medicine, along with my over 20 years of experience as a child psychologist. But most importantly, I am a mother just like you. And in this letter, I want to tell you how the fitful sleep of my 3-year-old sweetheart, Louis, led me to a discovery that has already helped more than 17,643 parents to finally enjoy the restful sleep they have been craving. Thousands of mothers tried it already. People like Mary Olson from Trinity, Florida. Hi Marianne. I just wanted to say thank you. When I found your presentation, I was so sleep deprived I could barely remember my own name. I think I spent at least 7 hours a day rocking little Ava to sleep. I felt so lost and alone in my sleep deprivation, I often started crying for no reason. I had tried all kinds of sleep training techniques and strategies without success. I was worried you'd talk about the same old, but boy was I wrong. Your information is clear, concise, and straight to the point. Even better, it works. The proof is right here in my hands. Thank you from all of us. And Jennifer Williams from New York, who wrote this. Hey there, guess who's sleeping in my arms? That's my son Jacob, who'd trouble staying asleep since birth. Your presentation has been a godsend to our family and literally rescuing me from the slippery slope of depression. Your step-by-step advice is well researched, nurturing, and amazingly effective. After using your routine, Jacob was sleeping in 30 minutes. We were in complete shock, and my husband even asked me what we should do now that we finally have our lives back. I don't know how I can thank you enough. Irene Johnson from Warren, Michigan sent me this message. Hi Marianne, my pediatrician recommended your site. He said you're spot on with your explanation of how a 4-month-old sleep changes and that I should follow your advice. He was right. My daughter now sleeps through the night, and it's only because of your tips. I am also a breastfeeding mom, and I can't thank you enough for encouraging us to work through sleep issues without quitting breastfeeding. I have shared your site with many of my friends with babies, and I hope this video can help spread the word. Baby Sleep Miracle works for almost every child. Now don't worry, reading this letter won't cost you a century. Even though I'm giving away so much free, yet hard to find information, I've been told I should charge for it. So keep reading it to the end now while it's still online and still free. Because the tips it contains will regulate your child's sleeping patterns the holistic way. I'm sure you've already tried other methods, so you know. Many of them are not just ineffective, but downright dangerous. And why would you risk your little one's health when you can soon enjoy a happier, more relaxed, and easier to parent child who looks forward to his bedtime just as much as you do? Fact is, falling asleep is a habit, and all kids can learn it, no matter their age. I know it's hard to believe, and I would have been the first to doubt it, just 1 year back. My own weird story with baby sleep. You see, when Louis was born, we were on cloud 9. Not only was he the cutest baby we'd ever seen, he was also an amazing sleeper. And while all our friends kept complaining about wakeful nights, we felt we'd won the lottery twice. But during the 4th month everything changed. All of a sudden Louis woke up every 2 hours, sometimes every hour. Every single night. And the more tired he was, the faster his wheels were spinning. Much like an overwound toy until they crash. At first, we thought it was just a temporary thing. And that we could soon go back to being a happy and well-rested family. But we couldn't have been more wrong. Nothing seemed to get my baby to sleep. Louis' sleeping problems continued and we started growing desperate. What made it even worse was my feeling of guilt. I loved him so much and now he was suffering and I couldn't help him. What was I doing wrong? Why were we failing so badly at being good parents? I was a psychologist, for crying out loud. Something like this should never happen to me. I was clearly in over my head. It sounds logical looking back, but it took me months to throw in the towel and look for outside help. We went online to find a solution. But it felt like drinking from a fire hose. An avalanche of conflicting information that makes you feel even more lost. And yet we bought the books, the tapes, and even got a $200 sleep consultation that gave us advice so terrible we decided not even to try it. I'm still embarrassed to tell this, but I finally hit the breaking point when, after 5 months of sleep deprivation, my husband caught me screaming at Louis, screaming to keep his mouth shut. I wasn't angry with him. I was angry with myself. And I felt humiliated for being a mean bee who shouted at her own innocent boy. At that moment I knew, if I didn't take decisive action, if I didn't find a way to restore the sleep of my child, I would either have to check myself into a rehab center or end up divorced. So I reached out to doctors and psychologists I had worked with in the past. The response was overwhelming. Not only did they share their professional experience with me, they also granted me access to their exclusive medical databases. How I came to discover the baby sleep miracle. Armed with this knowledge, my real work began. I sifted through hundreds of studies looking for patterns I could work into an easy-to-follow sleep program for my son. And the good news for you is, I managed to find sleep tricks which will instantly calm down your baby. Even better, they work without you buying expensive pacifiers, dangerous swings, or relying on outdated and harmful methods like ferberizing. And I'll share them with you in just a moment. But first, I need to warn you, because in my research I stumbled onto some shocking information I can't keep from you any longer. If you read nothing else, read this. The truth is, some ways of sleep training are scientifically proven to cause serious harm to your child. And you need to stop using them right now if you want to protect your little one's health. The most dangerous and yet common method is ferberizing, or letting your child cry himself out. Did you know that the inventor of this method, Richard Ferber, isn't even a psychologist? And that he is trained only in physical, but not in mental health? It's like a miner trying to play dentist with his power drill. And it gets even worse. Harvard researchers discovered in a recent study that babies who are left crying suffer long-lasting damage to their nervous systems. Worse still, these children are more susceptible in later life to anxiety disorders, including panic attacks. Can it really be a coincidence that anxiety disorders have increased dramatically in recent years as kids raised with ferberizing hit their teens? I sure don't think so. And neither does Margot Sunderland, Director of Education and Training at the Centre for Child Mental Health in London. She is even convinced that if you leave your child crying repeatedly without reassurance, his brain will develop less than optimally. It is thus safe to say that ferberizing is dangerous and you should never use it. The next serious warning concerns the use of baby swings, and I'll keep it short. Never let your child sleep in his swing. This is not just an advice from the American Academy of Pediatrics. It's a recommendation by the experts of the Consumer Protection Safety Commission. The sad fact is every day more than 5 children under age 5 are treated in emergency care for swing-related accident. And some of them even die. I feel it is my duty to bring this deadly threat to your attention because nothing is more important than the safety of your child. Tip number 1: to get your baby to sleep. So now that you know what not do, let me give you some tips which will immediately help your baby sleep. Here's the first tip: laugh together. No, this isn't a joke or some weird therapy. Laughter is your most powerful ally against the main reason why your child isn't sleeping: tension. You see, the world is a scary place for your baby. He doesn't understand most things and thus anxiety and tension build up during his day. And when it's time to sleep it keeps him awake or causes terrifying nightmares. No wonder he wakes up crying. Psychologist Dr. Laura Markham calls it the child's emotional backpack. And nothing will help them to release the tension faster than a healthy laugh. I'll share the best ways to make your child laugh later in this presentation. Roberta Edwards put this one trick to the test and here's what she wrote me. Marianne, you really know what you're talking about with that tension relief. My 14-month-old used to wake up 6 to 7 times before midnight. But now that he gets his giggles in he sleeps up to 9 hours straight. It's truly a miracle. You're the best. Tip number 2: to get your baby to sleep. The second tip is about a common mistake I've been guilty of myself. It's to get your little one go to bed late. You would think he'd be more tired making things easy for you. But you couldn't be more wrong. Because once your child is up longer than he should, his body gets flushed by stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. And they keep him going like a double espresso right before bedtime, sabotaging any attempts to put him to sleep. Never let it come so far. The ideal bedtime for your child depends on his age and I'll tell you all the details in a bit. Tip number 3: to get your baby to sleep. But first, let's talk about tip number 3. And many of my friends laugh at me when I tell them about it. Because it is completely counterintuitive. And yet it's absolutely true. Your child falls asleep the fastest not in a quiet environment but in a noisy one. I know it sounds incredible, but hear me out. Because I'm not making this up. It's a scientific fact proven in a little-known study done by the Queen Charlotte's Hospital in London. Now keep in mind this isn't just any noise Dr. Daniel Moran and his colleagues are talking about here. It's a special noise and once you play it to your little one, he'll feel safe and protected and fall asleep almost instantly. Maureen Simons describes her baby's reaction this way. My 5-month-old Tammy was so clingy and needy we thought she's never sleep without us holding and rocking her to sleep. But when we put your miracle sounds on, it was as though someone just flipped a switch. All of a sudden Tammy was giggling and calming down within minutes and she even fell asleep soon after. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Introducing the simplest way to get your baby to sleep. Okay, this was a lot of information I've shared with you so far. And maybe you're feeling a bit overwhelmed and that's okay. It's hard to remember it all, especially when you're tired and with a crying baby in your arms. I know how it is and that's why I've tried to find a solution to make it easy for you. So now you can find all the information of this presentation and a lot more in my guide, Baby Sleep Miracle. It is the fastest, easiest, scientifically proven method to solve your baby's sleeping problems, once and for all. But before I tell you more about it, I need to make one thing clear: if you are looking for some sort of magic pill, my program is not for you. It is true that it works with surprising speed for almost everyone who tried it. But only if you let it. There are some simple steps you'll need to follow or otherwise it will fail you. And the last thing I want is to disappoint you. Here's what you'll discover in this guide. So let's take a look what you'll discover in Baby Sleep Miracle. Why you should never nurse or rock your toddler to sleep and what to do instead. The secret of refilling your child's love tank and keeping him off breakdown lane for good. How to release your kid's build-up anxiety in 5 minutes flat. The 7 steps to put any baby to sleep even if he's cranky and clingy and everything else failed. The California Institute of Technology's surprising trick to boost your child's secret sleep hormone to doze-off levels, 100% drug-free and safe at any age. And much, much more. Why Baby Sleep Miracle is different. And don't think for a minute Baby Sleep Miracle would be a one-size-fits-all approach like the Pantley method. Fact is, Elizabeth Pantley completely ignored the personality of your child. Little wonder, since she isn't a psychologist or doctor. And while the Pantley method divides babies in just 2 age groups, Baby Sleep Miracle has 9 of them because, as the American Academy of Pediatrics points out, there are distinct developmental differences between these 9 age groups which influence your child's sleep. Did you know, for example, that in the first 12 months of your child's life he forms 700 to 1000 new neural connections every second? This is one of the reasons why an 8-month-old will have an easier time recognizing and sticking with a bedtime routine than a younger child. And it's just one of the countless differences discovered by the scientist from the Harvard University Center on the Developing Child. What investment is required to get this program? As you probably notice by now, Baby Sleep Miracle is different. And that's why it brings you results so much faster than any other method. Just see what Diane Hopkins wrote me. Thank